Hey guys, welcome back. Another science lesson, and we're here moving on with our cellular respiration part 2. And we're getting ready for that big test on the cells. So thanks so much for joining. We're going to get right into it. So grab your packet, pencil, something to write with, dust off your brain. Let's figure out cellular respiration and photosynthesis once and for all. All right, guys. First thing we want to do is make sure you're looking at the review packet, getting that created and done so we can go over it soon and talk about your cell test coming up soon. Let's take a little look at a question I thought you guys might find enjoyable, because we all eat and breathe, and that's kind of a thing, right? So let's see how photosynthesis and cellular respiration are related. Let's take a look.
Ever wonder where most of the food you eat every day comes from? Well, about 60% of the food you eat is carbohydrates. As you can probably tell from its name, carbohydrates contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But where do these atoms originally come from, and how do they join together to make delicious foods like fruits and pasta? It actually all starts with the air you are exhaling at this very minute, specifically the carbon dioxide molecules. Plants are going to breathe in this very same carbon dioxide through pores in their skin called stomata. Plants drink and water from their roots to get the needed oxygen and hydrogen atoms and their electrons in order to build carbohydrates. What is that thing? Well, that's a special plant organelle inside the leaves of plants called a chloroplast. It's green because of a special light-absorbing pigment called chlorophyll. Each leaf has about 44,000 cells, and every cell can have anywhere between 20 to 100 chloroplasts. That's up to 4,400,000 chloroplasts. By now, you've probably guessed that we're talking about the process of photosynthesis, and you might be wondering when the sun is going to make its entrance. Let's go back to that original molecule of water. The plant has to split this molecule of water so that it can get electrons from it. But the plant can't pull that water apart by itself. It needs help from the high-energy rays of the sun. So now that the chloroplast has all the building blocks, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and electrons, it can use them to go through the rest of the steps of photosynthesis to transform that original carbon dioxide gas into a simple carbohydrate called glucose, C6H12O6. That little glucose molecule then helps to build bigger and better carbohydrates like cellulose. Cellulose is a type of carbohydrate found in plants that our body cannot break down. We call it fiber, and we eat it in vegetables like lettuce, broccoli, and celery. Plants use cellulose to keep themselves strong. The plant could also turn that glucose into starch, a large molecule that stores energy for the plant. We love eating starch from plants like potatoes, corn, and rice. So you see, when we eat plants, we're actually benefiting from photosynthesis. The plant makes things like starch, which we eat and then break back down into glucose, the first form the plant made. Then, the mitochondria in our cells, powered by the oxygen we breathe, can turn glucose into pure energy molecules called ATP. ATP powers all work done by each and every one of your cells, things like communication, movement, and transport. But why do we have to turn that glucose into ATP? Well, think of it like this. You're excited to start your summer job at the local ice cream stand, but your boss has just told you that she is going to pay you in ice cream cones. What are you going to be able to do with those ice cream cones? Nothing, which is why you kindly ask to be paid in dollars. ATP is just like dollars. It is the currency that all cells of life use, while glucose is, well, kind of like ice cream. Even plants have mitochondria in their cells to break down the glucose they make into ATP. So as you can see, humans and plants are intricately connected. The air we breathe out is used by plants to make the carbohydrates we enjoy so much. And in the process, they are releasing the very same oxygen molecules we need to breathe in order that our mitochondria can break down our delicious carbohydrate meal.
So it seems like photosynthesis and cellular respiration are very similar in the fact that they are opposite reactions, okay? What one produces, the other one needs, and what one needs, the other one produces. So when you breathe out CO2, Plants take that in to make sugar. When you eat the sugar, you break it down, and it turns into CO2. You're effectively breathing out the food you ingested. Chemical reactions are amazing. Don't forget, guys, we're going to be talking about our review packet soon, so as homework, make sure you're working on your review packet. We'll go over it next class. Test coming up. All right, what I want you guys to do is open your packets. We are going to talk about these ideas in the guided reading. Take a minute to find it. Pause if you need to. All right, we are going to go through photosynthesis first in detail, okay? High levels of detail. We'll have an image at the end, but not a lot of images, just some words, but we want to make sure we understand all the parts and all the words here. So let's read it and figure out the answers, okay? Part 1, photosynthesis. The sun provides almost all of the energy used by living things on Earth. All cells need energy to carry out their functions. The process by which a cell captures the energy in sunlight and uses it to make food is called photosynthesis. If you break down the word photosynthesis, it means making from light. What is photosynthesis? Our paragraph tells us that all living things need energy, and the process that plants capture that energy to make food is photosynthesis. In plants, photosynthesis occurs in chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are found in the cells of leaves and other green parts of plants. Chloroplasts contain a pigment called chlorophyll, which is why they're green. Which type of plant, animal, plant, or both, does photosynthesis occur? Pause if you need to. Fill these in. Come back for the answers. Photosynthesis happens only in the green living things, plants and algae, not animals. Animals are not able to make their own food. What part of the cell is this happening in? This is happening in something called a chloroplast, which contains a green-colored pigment called chlorophyll. During photosynthesis, chlorophyll captures light energy. The cell uses the energy to produce sugars, including a sugar called glucose, with the chemical formula C6H12O6. There's 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, 6 oxygens chemically bonded together to make this new molecule. Glucose is used both by plants and animals for their energy. The cell needs more than light to produce sugars. The raw materials a cell needs are water and carbon dioxide. In plants, the roots absorb water from the soil and carbon dioxide enters through openings in the leaves. Those are called stomata. Pause, answer the questions, and then come back. Number 4. What does chlorophyll do in a plant cell? Chlorophyll captures energy in sunlight. This is why green plants are green. You're not going to see the green coloring in roots because it would be wasted. Roots are underground and not exposed to sunlight. What 3 things do plants need in order to produce sugars? What are the requirements? What are the raw materials? Well, we know they need sunlight, but there are some atoms you need. To build this large glucose molecule, you need the carbons, hydrogens, and oxygens. Where do they come from? Carbons come from carbon dioxide in the air. Water gives us the H2O, which provides the hydrogens and oxygens, and sunlight is what gives the plant the energy to produce the glucose. Using water, carbon dioxide, and light, the cell produces oxygens and sugar. These sugars are the plant's food. Since plants make their own food, they're known as autotrophs. Auto means self, and troph has something to do with producing, self-producing. Organisms that cannot make their own food are known as heterotrophs. Hetero means different, meaning you need a different source or a different thing to create the energy or food. Heterotrophs need plant sugars for energy, and by eating plants, heterotrophs get energy from the sun in an indirect way. Photosynthesis is also important for the oxygen it produces. This oxygen allows you to breathe. The oxygen produced through photosynthesis is essential or absolutely needed for all organisms that use oxygen for cellular respiration. So, try the questions, pause, come back when you're done. 6. What 2 things are produced by photosynthesis in plants? The products of photosynthesis are glucose and oxygen. Why is photosynthesis important for heterotrophs? Remember, heterotrophs are the organisms that cannot make their own food, not plants. The answer, all living things need glucose and oxygen to produce energy. So let's talk about how living things produce that valuable energy. On the back of your paper, we'll talk about cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the process through which cells release energy in the form of ATP. That's a molecule that acts like a battery to store energy by breaking down food molecules such as sugar, or glucose we call it. Since all organisms need energy at all times, cellular respiration continues all the time, continuously. Cellular respiration occurs where? In the mitochondria of all animal and plant cells. In fact, any cell that is a living thing that's getting energy from glucose using oxygen. That is the process of cellular respiration. Pause, fill in your questions, and then come back. Okay, number 1. What is cellular respiration? What is it doing? What does it make? What's its point? The purpose of cellular respiration is the process of releasing energy from food. It's how we get energy out of food. What types of cells use or do cellular respiration? Well, it's not only in an animal or just in a plant. It's in both. Animal, plant, and indeed anything living that does this process. In which part of a cell does cellular respiration occur? It's the mitochondria, which we thought of as our powerhouse of the cell, which is taking fuel and oxygen and releasing that energy. Here's some notes that we took on some of the more tricky words here. Cellular respiration releases energy from sugar. Therefore, a chemical reaction needs to occur. This reaction during cellular respiration requires oxygen and sugar. Those are the things we need, requirements. Energy in the form of an ATP is released from the breakdown of this sugar. Other products means things we make or the results, are carbon dioxide and water. So pause, fill in your answers, and let's see how you did. Number 4. What 2 raw materials or 2 things do you think you need in order for cellular respiration to occur? The 2 things we need are the glucose and oxygen made by plants. What are the 3 products? What's the results? Think about why we do this. Well, we get carbon dioxide, water, and the reason we do it is for the ATP, which is our energy source. So our energy source is why we do cellular respiration. Cells use the energy to perform various functions the organism needs to survive. The water is either used by the cells or released to the environment. The carbon dioxide is important because it's necessary for the process of photosynthesis to occur in plants. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration are thought of as opposite processes that together keep the level of oxygen and carbon dioxide fairly constant in the atmosphere. Fairly constant means similar. It doesn't change too much because what one thing makes, remember, the other thing uses. Pause, answer, come back. Number 6, why is cellular respiration important for plants and animals? Well, all living things are going to need energy. So we need food. Food can be turned into energy. 7, why do you think photosynthesis and cellular respiration are thought of as opposite processes? They're opposite because the requirements of one are the products of the other. What one makes, the other needs. They're like flipped, opposite mirror images of one another. So if you did this review, great job. This is going to help you so much in understanding these 2 most important chemical reactions. Let's take a look at the diagram on the next page and see if you can't fill in some of the words. We've got a word bank here as far as some words that we put up. Go ahead, place the words into the correct spot on the line. Go ahead and try it. Pause, come back, and then see how you did. Okay, we're back, and now you should have all of your words in the right place. So let's do the things that are kind of obvious in what we know. First, number 1 represents sunlight. This organelle looks like it's the green organelle with those stacked solar collectors in plants. That's our chloroplast. Mitochondria are often labeled as red. although in real life they don't have that red color. But red to us symbolizes energy. Okay, so for the rest of this chart, we're going to be filling in the products and what's required on the lines. Okay, so let's think about what needs to go into a chloroplast. What goes into a chloroplast along with sunlight as it does photosynthesis? And we've got some clues. We've got liquid water going in. That's a requirement. A gas that goes in. That's carbon dioxide gas into the chloroplast. And what does it make? Well, it makes two things here. One's a solid, one's a gas. This is going to help you figure this out. Well, the solid is the sugar, and the gas it produces is oxygen. Oxygen just is released out through the leaves. The sugar is in the plant cells, okay? All right, now let's just continue on. We've got sugar and oxygen being joined together into the mitochondria, so we're going in. Those are the requirements now for cellular respiration. What does the mitochondria produce? Water, carbon dioxide, and then this branch here, that's the energy. But the energy isn't going to be in the form of fire or some kind of explosion. It's form of a molecule that your body can use safely, kind of like a battery. We call it ATP. Adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Now you've got a great chart. Look at, you can see what goes in, requirements, what comes out. Those are the products. So we've got our photosynthesis on the top, and you can see it's the exact same words being used by the mitochondria, and then what's produced goes back. So this is a cycle, okay? It's part of what we call the carbon cycle, because carbon is the backbone of that, sugar, glucose, okay? So carbon is recycled over and over and over and over. All right. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. I need you to work on your review packet, which you can find in the back of your notes packet. Use your notes to fill it in and start studying and reviewing. We'll go over the answers and then we'll take our test. So good luck. Real reminder, if you haven't done your Self City, that's so critically important to grades and things and to your understanding, because it's going to help you think of a way to remember all the different names of the organelles, what they do. What is the mitochondria? Oh, that's like our power plant. Oh, the endoplasmic reticulum, that's like our roads. That's going to help you remember all the different functions. Well, I hope all that made sense, and I'm really glad that you joined us on this little journey of review, and hope you learned something today. Thanks for joining and trying science. We'll see you on the next one.